So you want to go sustainable with your cannabis packaging, but you're using mylar bags. Is there a way to go more sustainable with your mylars? We have some options that are in the market. We want to show you what they are, materials that are available. If you get value from this video, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Let's jump right in. So the first thing that the flexible packaging business will say, and we're agnostic to the packaging format. That's one of the benefits with Contempo, because we're not just a flexible packaging manufacturer. We're not just a board. So we can sort of paint the picture and let you decide. One of the arguments is these ship efficiently. Mylar bags, they stack. How many bags can you fit versus more three-dimensional packaging? Is there merit to that argument? Or do you think that's just sort of a perspective that the flexible packaging business pushes because that's their sustainable angle? What do you think?
No, there's definitely merit. And just like all these arguments, though, Contempo is your vetting resource that looks at all the different industries. The plastic industry has their own perspective, the flexible packaging, the paper industry that will demonize the opposite side. We kind of look at it from a holistic perspective of what are the claims that are valid, what are claims that are not valid, but it's totally valid. Yeah, as we look at sustainability not being just about materials, but being about the overall footprint. How do you stack things properly? How do you transport things? What kind of factories are you manufacturing out of? How much water waste? But transportation is huge. And by fitting these thousands, hundreds of thousands of mylar bags in a container, it really does reduce the overall sustainability carbon footprint of a product like this. So yes, definitely validity to it. I like it.
And one of the things we say is there's many paths to sustainability, many ways to go sustainable. As long as you're not greenwashing, which is misleading people, there's different paths. We should respect the different paths. The brands can decide what paths they choose, and then the consumer can say whether they like it or not. The consumer ultimately decides. So let's get into the options.
Well said.
The first option is monomaterial. Take a bag. You can walk us through the manufacturing of bags, usually multiple layers. If you make it all plastic, that bag is at least technically recyclable. We'll talk about some of the specifics. So talk about moving to monomaterial, then we'll get into some of the details.
That's it. The traditional, we call it mylar bag or barrier bag, multi-layer, 2, 3, 4 layers bag, mainly for moisture permeation and freshness. But we talk about trying to reduce that and not having the OPP. The PE was a bonding layer. You can see PET or VMPET. And now choosing a single layer multi-barrier bag can really help with that monomaterial and recyclability. Absolutely.
So it's one material, and like we talk about on the show, if you mix aluminum and plastic, that can't be separated. It's not recyclable. If it's just plastic, that can then be recycled, but it's not blue bin recyclable. And this is where it's a little greenwashy. People throw the chasing arrows on a mylar bag that's monomaterial. Great job, but that's not blue bin recyclable. That's store drop-off. How many consumers actually know that? So that's a little dicey in my opinion. Maybe you're actually contaminating the recycling stream.
A lot of the
So you got to have that messaging.
We'll have trouble, a lot of trouble, and it will gunk up, contaminate. The multi-plastics together cannot just be thrown into some kind of a magical recycling bin or something like that.
That's the store drop-off. So you got to actually take it to the store to drop it off.
Absolutely.
So the odds of that happening probably pretty low, but it is a viable option. The next one is PCR, using post-consumer or post-industrial, but we'll say post-consumer recycled content. Give us a refresher on what PCR is.
So I think, again, when you're trying to take these steps, this is really good for us because we talk about progress, not perfection, in the sustainability movement. So a company that comes to us and says, I'm using a PVC bag and I want to change this into 100% compostable, 100% recyclable, certified, ISO, EU. It's like, okay, that's a big jump. How can I get there? Maybe it's too expensive. Maybe it's too much time. Maybe it doesn't have the same moisture and barrier properties that your PVC or your mylar bag might have. So, okay, I can't get that. I'm not going to do anything. That is not the answer. And I think PCR is a great way to get us more close to, okay, I'm at a 2, I want to be at a 4 or a 6 or a 7, and then you get to a 10 in a couple years. So I think PCR is a great way, 25%, 50%, 100%. We know we can get post-consumer recycled content in our materials, very easy, still has great properties of the plastic bags that you know and love. And I think it's just a great step on the train to better sustainability over time.
Got it. So you get the standard bag, you got the monomaterial bag, you got the PCR bag. The next one is you could blend Contempure into the bag. Now, the reason I like this one is because these bags are going to the landfill. You might not like to hear that because these bags are everywhere. They sort of dominate the packaging business. You go to CVS, you go to Whole Foods, you go to Stop and Shop, Publix, wherever you shop, These bags are everywhere.
Flexible packaging industry has never been more booming.
We want to think that it's super green. It's good. Oh, there's a nice chasing arrows. I feel so good, but I'm over that. Like, what's actually happening? These are going to the landfill.
That's right.
99 times out of 100, if not 99.9%. So talk about the Contempure, the benefit. If we're realistically saying these are going to the landfill, why is Contempure a potential option for people?
Perfectly said, and that's why when we were vetting all the different additives you have, we wanted to look at the source and say, we need to have an option, because when we know ultimately that our plastic product is going to make its way into the landfill, we have to have something that's responsibly going to degrade. So the Contempure is a proprietary additive. We talk about it, being very different than a lot of the additives, because what most additives do when you talk about how they make the plastic more degradable is they weaken the bonds, which separate the plastic. Yes, it breaks down faster, but it creates microplastics, which we know are terrible. If you want to learn more about that, we have entire, educational videos and conversations that we can have. But what the Contempure does is it helps things break down. It actually makes the plastic a more attractive food source to the biomes and the bacteria that are going to be naturally breaking down anything around us. So when it does end up in the landfill, it performs the same way. It can be recycled. It doesn't gunk up the recycling MRFs and the recycling centers that we talked about, but also in landfill conditions, also marine conditions, it will help break down the product that is going to end up in the landfill no matter what. So we better have an option, because we know that ultimately a lot of our packaging does end up there.
It is the reality, especially mylars, right?
No matter where you put it.
Other things, recycling isn't dead. There's problems with recycling, but with mylars, the path really is not recyclability. It's probably going into the landfill. We'll get into compostable in a minute. And this is progress, not perfection. And I ask people, what's your alternative? I don't like Contempure because I don't like additives. No problem. What are you going to do? Well, I'm just going to continue using it. Okay, if that's your choice, no problem, but I think it's a viable option that people can consider.
Yeah, how can you ethically think that what you're doing by leaving it exactly the same is a better option than what we're proposing?
Well, a lot
here?
of people are concerned it's going to create extra microplastics because the oxo-degradable additives do. Right. And this is when I can't wait until home compostable certified packaging, which we're going to get to, becomes affordable, and I'm going to pick that over Contempure. But right now, that Contempure bag is almost cost neutral, slightly more expensive, so it's actually affordable. So there's often this fine line between what is actually going to be chosen by a brand versus the utopian example that will never happen. I'm done talking about the utopian example that will never happen, because the world's marching on, pollution's increasing, waste is increasing, wildlife's being harmed. The microplastics are coming into our food stream.
Exactly right.
Like, we got to do something.
The utopian progress, or the option is good if you have other options that work now. When you're just dreaming about 50 years from now, it's a fool's
Right,
it's a
people
fool's
are
dream.
pontificating, oh, this is so great, while they're doing nothing.
Yeah.
So that's starting to change. And the last option is compostable packaging, industrial or home. You're starting to see that more. Home compostable or industrial compostable mylar bags. Now, there often is a sacrifice on shelf life, so that's something that I want to talk about. I call it the 3 Ps. We'll wrap this video up here. How do you decide which is right for you? 3 Ps every time with sustainability: price, performance, preference. Price, what's your budget? Can you afford it, or are you just talking? Performance, what shelf life do you need? Oh, I need 5 years. Do you really need 5 years? No, actually, I need 6 months. The longer the performance requirements, the less options you're going to have available. And last is preference. We should respect everyone's preference. Whatever sustainable option they choose, as long as it's not greenwashed, I'm a supporter. Just be honest and transparent with what you're doing.
That's it.
Any closing thoughts?
No, I think greenwashing in particular, and the compostability movement, have we seen a lot of these products? Oh yeah, one of the layers of film is compostable, but the other ones actually aren't. Oh yeah, both of the layers are compostable, but the zipper's actually not. So when you're talking about compostability, you guys got to be aware that there is a lot of greenwashing that still gets thrown in with the compostable terminology. So again, we're here to vet, we're here to educate, and it's something that you just be mindful of when you're talking about compostability.
Yeah, oh, this is biodegradable. This is biodegradable. No, don't use that word. What does that mean? That has no definition. Or, this mylar bag is made with a compostable film. Okay, great. Are all the materials compostable, where that's the end product will be compostable? No, actually, it's a compostable film and then a non-compostable film. Well, you're actually just going to mislead the consumer. They might put that in their home compost.
100%, they are.
They're putting contaminants in their compost. So these are serious topics that we need to think about. I'm getting a little fired up here on the set. Okay. Thanks for watching. Email wow@contemplepackaging.com to learn more about these options. And we just did a video showing 5 of our favorite sustainable packaging options for the cannabis industry. You got to see them. We're going to pop it on the screen right here. Click that box, and you'll see the 5 ideas. Thanks for watching.